Remember when everyone said video game adaptations were cursed? Yeah, Amazon just tossed that curse into a radioactive wasteland and left it for dead. Welcome back to Frameshift, where we dissect what actually works in storytelling. And if you're not subscribed yet, fix that. We're just getting started. So Fallout Season 2 drops December 17th. And judging by this trailer, the showrunners heard every complaint about slow burn world building and decided to respond with fine, here's Elvis, ghouls and a civil war. The first season was a masterclass in how to adapt beloved IP without alienating fans or confusing newcomers. It balanced vault-dwelling innocence with wasteland brutality, gave us characters worth caring about, and somehow made a show about nuclear apocalypse feel fun. Now, Season 2 is taking us to New Vegas, and if you know anything about the games, you know that's where things get complicated. Let me paint you a picture. Lucy, our vault-dwelling idealist who discovered Daddy Dearest isn't quite the hero she thought, is now hunting him across the Mojave with the Ghoul, a 200-year-old gunslinger who makes Clint Eastwood look emotionally available. Their dynamic in Season 1 was electric, that perfect odd couple chemistry where optimism crashes headfirst into cynicism. Lucy wants justice and believes people can be good. The Ghoul has seen 2 centuries of evidence to the contrary, and now they're road-tripping to New Vegas, which in Fallout lore is basically if Vegas got nuked, rebuilt itself, and decided morality was more of a suggestion than a rule. Here's what makes this fascinating from a narrative standpoint. The trailer reveals the Ghoul has been surviving for one reason, finding his family. That's 200 years of wasteland hell for what might be a ghost. He's not the cynical mercenary we thought. He's a man running from grief disguised as a mission. Meanwhile, Lucy's chasing her father to prove that accountability matters in a world that stopped caring about rules when the bombs dropped. She's clinging to justice because it's the last thread connecting her to who she was before the vault doors opened. These are parallel quests built on hope in a hopeless world, which is either going to be beautifully tragic or devastatingly cathartic, probably both. And then there's the war. Someone in this trailer drops the line, there's a war coming, which in post-apocalyptic fiction is like saying there's weather coming. Yeah, obviously. But this feels different. The first season ended with revelations about Vault-Tec basically orchestrating the apocalypse as a business strategy, which is so dystopian it circles back to plausible. Now we're heading into New Vegas, run by Robert House, played by Justin Theroux. If you're not familiar with the games, House is a billionaire tech genius who saw the nukes coming, fortified Vegas, put himself in a cryogenic coma, and woke up ready to rebuild civilization his way. He's not a villain or a hero. He's what happens when someone plays God and actually has the resources to pull it off. Think Elon Musk. If Elon actually succeeded at making Mars happen, except it's Nevada and everyone's irradiated. What's brilliant about choosing New Vegas as the setting is that it's the most morally complex location in the Fallout universe. The games presented it as a place where multiple factions collided. House's autocratic futurism, the new California Republic's bureaucratic democracy, Caesar's legions, brutal authoritarianism, all fighting for control. There were no clear good guys. The show's already proven it can handle moral ambiguity, so dropping our characters into this powder keg. Chef's kiss for narrative potential. The trailer also shows Vault 33 residents emerging into the wasteland, which is going to be a culture shock of apocalyptic proportions. These people spent generations playing Civilization on easy mode, and now they're about to discover the wasteland doesn't grade on a curve. They're facing radiation, raiders, and the reality that their entire existence was a lie. That's not just good drama, that's commentary on sheltered privilege meeting harsh reality. The showrunners aren't being subtle, and honestly, they don't need to be. Then there's Thaddeus and that grotesque collarbone situation, courtesy of the mystery serum from Season 1. The snake oil salesman is back too, heading to New Vegas with what I'm guessing is a briefcase full of bad decisions. Here's the thing, that serum is probably tied to FEV, the forced evolutionary virus that turns people into super mutants in the games, which means Thaddeus isn't just mutating, he's becoming a walking argument for reading the fine print before injecting random wasteland pharmaceuticals. It's body horror with a thesis statement, and I'm here for it. Let's talk about the Elvis ghouls for a second, because that's the kind of detail that separates good adaptation from great adaptation. In the games, New Vegas has a faction called the kings who model themselves after Elvis Presley, because when civilization collapses, apparently some people decide rockabilly is the way forward. Seeing that translated to screen, ghouls and jumpsuits doing the hip swivel is simultaneously ridiculous and perfect. It's world building that understands Fallout's dark comedy DNA. The power armor versus deathclaw moment in the trailer. Pure fan service, but earned fan service. Deathclaws are the franchise's most iconic monsters. 12 feet of clawed, horned, genetically engineered murder lizard. Putting Maximus in power armor against one is the show asking whether he's finally ready to be the hero he pretended to be in season 1, because power armor makes you tough, not invincible, and deathclaws are designed to test that distinction. This is Maximus's trial by radiated fire. What impresses me most about this show's approach is how it refuses to sand down Fallout's edges. The games are weird, they're violent and satirical, and often deeply uncomfortable. They critique capitalism, militarism, nationalism, and human nature itself. Season 1 didn't shy away from that, and Season 2 looks like it's leaning in harder. The shot of Hank McClain dressed to impress while conducting experiments. That's the banality of evil wrapped in a vault dweller jumpsuit. So what are we actually looking at here? A second season that's trading mystery box reveals for full throttle conflict. The world's been established, the characters are defined. Now it's time to see what they do when everything falls apart, even more than it already has. The question isn't whether this will be good. Season 1 proved the creative team knows what they're doing. The question is whether they can stick the landing on a story this ambitious. Here's what I'm watching for. Can Lucy maintain her idealism when confronted with New Vegas's moral cesspool? Will the ghoul find his family, or just another layer of heartbreak? What's House's actual endgame, and how does it tie into Vault-Tec's machinations? And most importantly, whose side are we supposed to be on when this war kicks off? The beauty of Fallout as a franchise has always been that there are no simple answers. War never changes, but people do, or they don't. And watching good characters navigate that impossible choice in a world built on the ashes of the last one. That's not just great television, that's why we keep coming back to the wasteland. So are you ready to see Lucy's optimism finally break? Or do you think she'll somehow stay pure in the wasteland? Drop your theories below.